Good Friday, everyone. Welcome to the Volquest.com podcast with Rob Lewis, Jesse Simonton, and Austin Price. I'm Brent Hubbs. Glad to have you along with us on this Friday. Plenty to get to. We'll dive into some hoops and a trip to Lawrence, Kansas for the Vols, and a couple big SEC games coming up. We'll get into that. But first, let's get into recruiting. Austin, Jesse, fill everybody in on what's going on this weekend. Who's visiting?
Well, as of right now, I mean, we do expect Jakari Caldwell to be here. I think South Carolina's the favorite there. He went there unofficially last weekend. We'll visit there officially next weekend. So basically, you'd have to beat out a team that that he's seen 2 of the last 3 weeks. All of his families went there. He has all these ties there. I think there's some family members that played at South Carolina. That's probably a tall order. Tennessee's going to shoot their shot this weekend, though. It does help that you just had Malachi Wideman in, so it's not just like, okay, this is our only prospect at wide receiver. In fact, I think Wideman probably passed Caldwell with this past visit. I mean, he was quite impressive with the staff, and having spoke to him a couple of nights ago, I think Tennessee's in a good spot there. Is it done? No, but have they positioned themselves well? Coming out of this past official visit, I think so. As far as Zach Evans, that's the one everybody wants to talk about. Jesse, I think he's going to come in here for a visit. I think he's going to give Tennessee a chance to put their best foot forward. But it's Zach Evans, so anything could change literally by the minute. It's not even. That we always sometimes joke that it changes by the hour. With him, it could change by the minute.
Yeah, I mean his whole story. I think his whole recruitment should just be Zach Evans : no one really knows. Period. I mean that's just the way it's been, and that whether it's kind of the scuttle you hear behind the scenes about what happened and why he was let out of his LOI to where he may visit. As of 2 days ago, Florida State was pretty darn hopeful that he was going to be in Tallahassee this weekend. That does not seem to be the case now. Brian Niedermeyer going in home earlier in the week. I think that put Tennessee at least back in the picture for Zach Evans. And this is a guy that's looking for a home, and Tennessee needs a star running back, so there is at least kind of a natural attraction there in terms of opportunity. But Georgia has re-engaged its dialogue.
Yeah, Dale McGee was in there on Wednesday. Jay Graham was also in there on Wednesday for Texas A&M. But I don't think he wants to go to A&M. I don't think he wants to play that close to home.
It does seem like his inner circle and family and even Dion want him out of Texas.
Yeah, and I think there's some notion there's also a notion that some people around him have said, Georgia, probably the safest option you could pick. But from an individual standpoint and finding the field right away, Tennessee's probably your better option when you're talking about, or Tennessee or Texas A&M is your better option pertaining to early playing time. Just because, I know Georgia's, tried to pitch that, well, this guy's had a leg injury before, and that guy's had a leg injury before, and they may not be back to their old self again. But we know how that goes. It's modern medicine. The Preston Williamses of the world have proven that. Right, Paul Fortenberry, as he listens somewhere at Clayton.
Well, Georgia's pitch is that they just rotate a million backs. Tennessee's pitch is we need a star. We don't have one.
We don't have the dude.
Yeah, we don't have one like you. And so if Zach comes this weekend, Tennessee will make their big swing. This is one that doesn't come without concerns or baggage. And as we've had it in the war room and have discussed off air, guys, this is also one based on talking to people. I'm not sure that it ends on February 5th. It's unclear to people that we've talked to whether he definitively can sign an LOI. It sounds like he cannot sign a second one, so that would only be, if that is the case, if we're saying that is
you
correct.
Work off that theory.
If you work off that theory that what people have told us is correct, then that means he can only sign a financial aid agreement. He could sign multiple financial aid agreements with multiple schools, and then you basically are still dogging this thing out
for the next 3 months
until May. And so if that doesn't tell you how this thing's probably going to end up, that just shows you how wild this has been from the beginning. This is kind of an unprecedented recruitment, especially for a guy that is a legitimate 5-star top 20 talent in the country.
If he can't sign, can you even imagine how crazy that's going to
be? How many rumors will be out there between now and May? And whoever ends up getting him, they're going to demand that he be there for many term. It ain't going to drag till June. They're going to say May 4th or whatever it is. You better be here.
Well, sure. Everybody's going to try to get him in as quick as they can. it's, it is unprecedented because, one, you got the early signing period, so you've got the potential of the 2 national letters or the whole, the signing multiple scholarship papers. I think just as unprecedented in it is that the school that released him a month ago willingly is now back in play here, quote, at the finish line of when they can be on the road. That's the part that's a bit of the head scratcher. It's like, I get it. He's having a hard time. Maybe he doesn't have the best influence around him to help him, and he's sorting through all this stuff. He's going to visit here, he's going to visit there, and then this changes, that changes. Florida's going to get a visit, Florida's not going to get a visit. Florida State, all that. I get all of that. But for a school to say, essentially, we're done with you. Okay, we're not going to hold you to it. Non-binding. We're not going to try to talk and calm you down and settle everything down. We're just going to wipe our hands of it. And then they finish out the dead period and they get back to where they can go out on the road and they go, oh no, by the way, we want you. That to me, that's the craziest part of the whole recruitment, is that you're talking a 5-star talent, yes, and we've seen 5-star talents change their mind and be all over the map. I mean, Julian Battle wasn't a 5-star talent, but that's a guy who signed 2 letters on National Signing Day. So you've seen some bizarre stuff. But for a school with the depth and the talent that Georgia has that says, you know what? Basically, the feeling was they said, you're too big of a headache. We're just not going to fool with it. To turn around and go, no, come on back, we want you. It's kind of crazy to me.
I agree. I mean, it was whatever, again, whoever he was playing to on national TV with Dion sitting next to him, that was bizarre. The stories that have come out about why he was, suspended multiple times on his high school team this season, that didn't even get to play in this. This has been a saga unlike one that I have seen. That is for sure.
So we'll see if he indeed arrives in Knoxville. I mean, that'll be the next deal.
Does he show up?
Did the plane that he get on land in Knoxville,
or
does it land somewhere else?
The other thing we also had, because AP had kind of teased this on Tuesday, then talking to some folks, there is no connection anymore, at least for these schools, for Tennessee and Georgia with the whole Brady Ward deal. Brady is going to be taking his own visits these next 2 weeks. Neither are slated to be Tennessee or Georgia. He's supposed to be in Mississippi State and Oklahoma. So perhaps there's still a tie there with Texas A&M. They have visited there. I don't know how serious Ole Miss is in this deal. I know they're hard on Brady Ward. I don't know where Zach Evans sees, the Lane Kiffin train. So at least in terms of Tennessee. And then
I don't see him ending up at Mississippi State. I think Ole Miss is more realistic if Lane would take him. The place that Brady Ward really wants to go is Auburn. So does Auburn have a spot for him potentially to take a flyer on him? But at the end of the day, if you're going to miss Hubs, what do? You miss big. You miss with big bodies and go that way. I had one person try to. I disagree with the person, but they tried to, basically compare him to Orlando Brown, who was another huge, massive body coming out of Georgia. Tennessee ended up, passing on. He goes to Oklahoma, and, the rest is history. So, I don't know if he's that, but, I do get the notion if you're going to miss, you miss with big bodies, and he's a big body.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that. I mean, if you're going to take a flyer, you're probably going to take more of a flyer on a big body than you are with others, but there's certainly been big bodies that you've taken chances on that have been big misses too. So, that's just part of it. I just think this one, it's for Tennessee, and what you're saying, Jesse and Austin, is that for Tennessee and Zach Evans, it's just about Zach Evans. There's no packages. There's no It's Zach Evans in Tennessee. Georgia's the same way, and it sounds like as of now, Florida's out.
Yes. Yes. I mean, even Zach Evans, even on his own Instagram on Thursday midday, said that he's not visiting Florida anymore. So
Florida is out for Evans. Kentucky is out for D. Beckwith.
Kentucky is out for Beckwith.
Yeah, they are out.
Well, that one's been all over the map this week too, a little bit. Hasn't it? In terms of Kentucky's,
Kentucky's worked hard to try to get D to not take the visit to Florida and take a visit to Kentucky instead. But Larry Scott,
which probably would have been a win for Tennessee.
I 100% agree with that. Larry Scott was in Florence on Thursday, and D's going to visit Florida this weekend. But I don't know if the enamor is there with Florida like it once was. I'm not saying that Tennessee's going to definitely land D Beckwith, but I do think Tennessee is in a pretty good spot. They just have to continue to do what they've been doing and survive the weekend and get ready for Jeremy Pruitt's in-home with probably the whole offensive staff come next week.
Yeah, so Tennessee's going to get one of the late, if not the last in-homes, one of the late in-homes with Jeremy Pruitt. That last weekend, it does not appear he's going to go anywhere, the 31st?
No, correct. His senior night's on Saturday.
So he's not going to go.
Yeah, if I was Tennessee, I would try to go in there Friday night, be there as late as you can be in there. I mean, why not? I mean, I think in a perfect world, why not go in Sunday night? Or can coaches be on the road Sunday? They have to,
you got to be off
You
the
got to
road
be off
Sunday.
the road.
Friday, you have to be off the road Friday?
No,
so.
midnight at Saturday.
Okay, midnight Saturday.
Midnight Saturday.
You don't want to take away from, well, I don't know. You'd just be taking away from junior days. If you got junior days done quick enough, potentially you could go down there Saturday night for an in-home.
Yeah, then you got the whole competition thing that you're dealing with on his senior day. I don't know that I don't know that he's a guy that you get.
Point is I wouldn't do it before Thursday.
Yeah, I think with a guy like D and seeing these, sometimes you got to go in there and babysit a guy to the midnight hour till nobody else can come in, a la Cedric Houston. When Philip Fulmer and his staff were in Cedric and his mom's little apartment there with about 7 people, and Arkansas was circling the block in the car waiting on Tennessee to go out so they could get in and get the last visit, and Tennessee just held out. They camped out and didn't let Arkansas in. Cedric was committed to Tennessee, so Tennessee was holding on is what they were doing. With D, I don't think that you're necessarily that case. I don't think it's a situation where you want the last visit, but I don't know that it's. Now, it may change coming out of the Florida trip,
yeah.
But right now I think you feel like you want to go in late, but you don't necessarily have to babysit it till the dead period where nobody can go in. So, and I don't think D will let anybody in on Saturday. I think he would be focused on playing basketball on his senior day. So Tennessee would probably going in there Thursday night or Friday to see D Beckwith. Dylan Spencer, that one seems like some things have to go. For Dylan Spencer to end up at Tennessee, some things have to go down a different path for Tennessee in recruiting.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're going to have to miss multiple times, for Spencer to end up here. I mean, yeah, there's still a path to that, but at some point the kids will go, okay, I'll end up there because 3 guys passed. He had a family member that played at Ole Miss. I think it was an All-American. Ole Miss makes a lot of sense. Mississippi State. Staying in state makes a lot of sense. I don't see him leaving the state of Mississippi, to be honest with you.
That's interesting. He told me Ole Miss was out. He didn't have anything. He didn't have anything good to say. Not negative about Ole Miss. He just said there's nothing there with Ole Miss. Now I know Mississippi State's been in. Does he visit Kansas and Missouri these last 2 weeks like he's supposed to, or is that reshuffle? And that's something to keep an eye on, because I think Mississippi State makes a lot of sense there with him. I'm with you because I know State's been in the house and been visiting with him there. I would think that he ends up visiting State one of these last 2 weekends.
Right now, it seems like Tennessee's ideal finish is Beckwith, Evans, and then do they find a way to grab Weidman?
Yeah, if you can grab him, yeah, then you just shuffle Velus Jones to 21 and you go, we're taking 24 instead of 25. I don't think that pushing one forward does not bother me. At this point in time for the program, it's to me when you push 2 and 3, and all of a sudden you're instead of taking 25, you're taking 22. Like to me, that's when you kind of get yourself. In trouble
particularly in that year 1 where you needed 25, and you're.
See, I actually think you're fine now if Tennessee wants to get They could not afford to do that. To your point, when Jeremy first got here,
which I think was a mistake.
But right, the way the transfers work now, I think you actually can basically sign 23. Pencil yourself in for 23 each year, and then know that you're going to grab a couple grad transfers or other transfers that are immediately eligible.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there. But you knew
because then you're basically banking on it's 23 plus a couple of guys that we're penciling in to play big time snaps.
Can play immediately.
They can play right away.
Because you're not going to take a grad transfer with one of those last 2 spots now as just a security blanket. You should take one of those guys, Rob, with the idea of he's going to play. It's the Aubrey Solomon. I mean, you're taking Velus Jones to play snaps. He's supposed to take snaps. I mean, he
better not just be a kick returner. He needs to be a slot receiver for them.
I mean, he's not just a quote insurance policy that gives you a little more depth. He's got to be productive for you. But so the Mondre Dickersons, the Mondre Dickersons of the world, and those type of guys. you got to get past Mondre London, not
Mondre
Mondre
London.
Dickerson. Mondre London.
Oh, wow.
I know, I'm getting old.
I was
Same here.
Dickerson actually helped.
Yeah, you got to take. You don't take those guys just to fill a roster spot for depth.
Not where they're at now. I don't.
Right.
I mean, you're looking for. I mean, maybe not. I mean, difference makers. I'm not talking about all Americans, but I mean, Aubrey Solomon was a difference maker for this team. I mean, that's if you're fishing in those waters, and as you always say, the scholarship's the most valuable thing you have. I don't think they can waste them. And you need a guy that's going to help you.
I agree with you 100%.
And no more developmental.
Right, because you don't have time. I mean, you're bringing that guy into play. I mean, he's got to come in and be a part of that. And you should be far enough along in your roster flip of getting your guys in here that you plug and play with a couple of guys, which is what you're saying, Jesse, as opposed to, boy, we're going to bring a guy in a year to build us some depth.
Right. I mean, because my thing is that with the way the transfer portal works now, say you hypothetically they have these 23 guys, but they don't have Cade and Velus Jones. If they just sign 2 guys that they're like, all right, we're going to sign, and these are late guys that we hope to develop within 2 to 3 years, they can actually see the field. An a la Jacob Warren, that kind of stuff. A guy who he played some snaps for Tennessee this past season. Can he really become a true factor next year? Cedric Tillman, those kind of guys. Where the program is and where it wants to be, I don't think that's worthwhile your time. I think those couple guys should be in the 19, 20, 21 part of this class. And I think each year you identify 2 spots of 2 big needs on your class, and you go out and secure, procure the grad transfer market and sign or grab a guy like Cade May so you can plug and play. Grab a guy. We'll see how good Velus Jones is, but you see it. Alabama's doing it, Clemson's doing it, Georgia's doing it. It just makes sense to have some veterans that can plug and play.
Yeah, and it's free agency.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. It's a year of free agency. You're instead of going and drafting a guy and putting him on the practice squad and develop him or having him play some snaps on special teams as a rookie, whatever, you're going out and getting the free agent guy that's the plug and play.
And the kids are being rewarded by the fact that in college athletics these days, you arrive on campus and you don't leave. You don't go home. So you get this schooling done so much quicker.
Right.
So if you put in the work, you arguably could have 2 years to go play wherever you want to play, or at least one final season to go play wherever you want to play.
Yeah, you can create your own free agency for sure.
They've earned that opportunity.
Yeah. All right, let's jump to the 21s right quick. Not going to run down a ton of names. We had a boatload of where coaches were, people that Tennessee saw in the 21 class. I think the one thing that jumps out to me, though, Austin and Jesse, and Rob, jump in here too, when you talk about 21, there's clear evidence that Tennessee likes North Carolina kids in 2021.
Yeah.
They like the class of 2021 in North Carolina much better than they did in 2020, and there's a clear effort to try to get some work done in the class of 2021 in North Carolina. Is that
help
class?
Help the boy out with Jay Graham, right, AP?
One would think.
Is the class over there this year that much better than the previous year, or is there just more fits potentially for Tennessee?
Well, there's depth guys like Washington who's going to be in this weekend.
Yeah,
he's
Isaac
a good
Washington,
player. He's only a 3-star on Rivals, but he has Georgia, Auburn, Florida, Tennessee, and he's been to Tennessee multiple times.
So the state's got depth to it.
State's got depth, and then it has star power with a guy like Shipley. Now he's not. Tennessee wants Will Shipley. I don't see Tennessee being in that. He's visited a bunch of Northeast schools. Seems like Notre Dame and Penn State probably the 2 early factors there. But it has both the star power of a Will Shipley, a Drake May, and then a lot of Peyton Page, and then a lot of depth just kind of elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, you got the Dillsworth kid. You've got the other kid that was in our trail tidbits this week. That Tracy Rocker went and saw, who was Javari Ritzy. There's a really good athlete, Cayman Marley. All these are in the Piedmont area, according to Gritty, who was giving me a hard time about my North Carolina geography. But
that's not the research triangle.
Yeah,
so you got to know the difference, right?
Yeah. Listen, I'm an information gatherer. I don't really care about if we're differentiating the upstate versus.
It's not on the Parkway of State Road 74, which is from Saluda to Charlotte, which includes Shelby and all those places.
The Dan Brooks
that
Memorial
was the
Highway.
That was the Dan Brooks Parkway, who made a living in recruiting North Carolina on that parkway, Tennessee as well as Clemson.
Yeah, you got Travali Price is a linebacker Tennessee really likes. You got Shavion Smith, so a running back that Tennessee likes quite a bit. So I mean, Then you go into the state of South Carolina. They obviously offered J.J. Jones this week out of Myrtle Beach. I think anybody in that area, if you're Tennessee, like you don't think this kind of stuff matters, but the fact that Allegiant is doing a round trip ticket from Myrtle Beach now to Knoxville.
Oh, that stuff definitely matters.
That stuff matters.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it makes a big difference. I mean, not even if you're, let's say you're just from Charleston or anywhere over there that way, and you can drive an hour instead of driving 9, and get on a plane.
I mean, as recently as this past basketball recruiting class, that was a big deal for Corey Walker's parents down in Florida. I mean, a very big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, they made 2 unofficial visits.
There's Kamaro
paid
Edmonds.
$75 for a plane ticket.
Right.
Yeah, big deal. Kamaro Edmonds, who's at Havelock, which is the same high school as Montario Hardesty, or same area as Montario Hardesty. Amari
That's on the
Huggins.
eastern part of North Carolina.
That's the same high school as the kid that didn't end up here.
Yeah, Anthony. And then Amari Huggins Bruce out of Dillon over in South Carolina too. So I mean, the Carolinas in general, but specifically North Carolina, is a big emphasis on that. And I would watch the Washington kid this weekend.
Here's the thing about North Carolina that too, Rob. History says a lot of the star power in that state leaves that state.
Sure. I mean, Mac Brown is obviously making a little noise, but I mean I like Mac Brown a lot, but I mean I wouldn't think it'd be terribly hard to negatively recruit against somebody at that age.
Yeah, I mean, Florida
even
through the
negative,
years
just point it
has
out.
gone in and gotten big highly ranked players out of North
And
Carolina.
Clemson has just been
Clemson obviously
raiding the board, crossing the border.
has come in there and got a lot. So.
But how long has it been since Tennessee's really went over there and took a big timer that Clemson wanted, that Florida wanted?
They got Crouch.
They
got Crouch out of there, and part of that was because they were going to let him play the position he wanted to play. He was certainly a highly recruited player, big time guy. But for Tennessee to go in and get multiple guys in North Carolina, it's been a while since they went over there.
Since they feasted like they
since they went over there and feasted like they did.
got 3 or 4
for
in a
years. I mean, for years that was like Tennessee East. That was an extension of in-state recruiting.
But
Tennessee went that way sometimes before they went to Memphis because it was closer.
But Georgia and some other schools started dipping in
Clemson.
there too.
Yeah, they
Clemson,
started, and Charlotte's exploded the last 10 years in terms of talent too, as the population grows.
And because of the fact that the state of Tennessee is not as good in 2021 as it was in 2020, or as it is going to be in 2022, you've got to make a little more hay in Virginia, North Carolina, and those other states. Because I mean, even some of the kids that Tennessee really likes in this 2021 class in state, Dietrich Pennington, that's going to be a tussle with Bama, Clemson, and others trying to get in on him. The mid-state, LSU will be a factor for guys over there like Turrentine. So. In my mind,
and then where do the tight ends end up? I mean, those are 2 of the top 10 players.
Briggenstool may end up at Clemson.
And Wolf's got
Wolf's in Alabama
offers.
too.
Yeah.
I mean, the point is like it's not going to be a lay down in state. What you get, you're going to have to earn, but thus you're going to have to earn, some from other states as well. And North Carolina just makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it certainly does. So we'll keep a close eye on that. You mentioned the Washington kid coming in this weekend. Tennessee going to have next weekend. We'll talk about it in the podcast next week. But the last weekend of the month going to be a big weekend, right? The 31st, 1st, that weekend going to be big. Going to be a lot of juniors scheduled to be in at this
I
point
think
in
the
time.
Andre Turrentines, those kind of guys from the mid-state will be in for that weekend. We'll see where Hudson Wolf goes that weekend. Can Tennessee get Briggenstool up? He's going to Clemson this weekend.
Damian Robinson's
supposed to be here. We'll see if Dallin Hayden makes it in. Maybe Dietrich Pennington as well.
So that one's certainly going to be a big one. And there's some kids in this weekend as well. We'll have full coverage of all of that with the 2020s and the 2021s as well. All right, Rob, let's jump to the hoops front right now.
Break down the fight, Rob. What you got? What's your footage say?
Are you surprised that there's not more punishment from Kansas? Are you surprised the Big 12 didn't punish anymore?
No. I mean,
based on the fact they weren't going to punish them, or based on the fact that the talk of this, quote, brawl was a little bit overblown?
Based on the fact that it's Kansas.
Based on the fact that it's Kansas?
It's Kansas. That's why I'm not.
So you're saying if this was Texas Tech and Baylor fighting, it would have been...
They would have had to forfeit 3 or 4 games, probably.
I don't disagree with
So you think it's a little Big 12,
I don't
making
mean
sure
to be
their darlings taken care of?
I don't mean to be all black helicopters and conspiracy minded, but I mean that's just I'm cynical that way. I mean I just think that, I mean, good gracious, I mean, how many kids left the bench?
Everybody.
I mean
seriously.
Yeah. I'm
The only one I didn't see down there was Azubuike, and the fight might have been over before Azubuike could get down there.
Yeah,
was the only thing there with him.
And Kansas, loses a couple of guys that contribute, but as long as it wasn't Dotson or Azubuike, then I think it's a tough matchup for Tennessee.
What are you trying? If you're Tennessee, obviously you go in with the thought to win, but what's a win for Tennessee besides pulling off the upset? Or are you past that point of a freshman handling an environment like that, this, that, and the other?
I'm not. There's no moral victories for sure. And I can promise you, Rick's planning to go in there and anything other than a win is going to be a disappointment for him. I played 4 freshmen regular minutes, starting a point guard this is going to be his 4th weekend that he's played college basketball. Going in there against that to me, everybody's going to talk about Azubuike and Fulkerson, which I think that's going to be tough for John to handle. But the matchup that would really worry me if I'm Tennessee is Vescovi trying to guard Dotson. I think that's going to be hard to handle.
Yeah, a hard matchup.
And going to be hard to handle the defensive pressure that Vescovi's going to see from Dotson on the ball.
Right.
I think Dotson is a really good player.
Yeah, and a good defender.
Yes.
He will cause you some problems that way. All right, so we'll take the matchup of Kansas, kind of throw it to the side here a little bit. Is this basketball team improving, Rob, the last 3 halves of basketball offensively, or are they just benefiting from the fact that they played 2 bad basketball teams?
I don't think you can discount the fact that Ole Miss and Vanderbilt are combined 0-9 in SEC play. That's reality. But also, Tennessee just won those 2 games by combined 45 points. You can't ignore that. I think they're getting better, but they have problems. But I do think they are definitely improving, and I think that Georgia game was kind of a turning point for them. And certainly, it gave Rick something to beat them over the head about. When throw it up on the film and say, if this is what you're going to bring, then we're going to get our doors blown off a lot.
What did they? Did they find something in the second half against Vanderbilt? Because at the half, that's what 21-20.
21-20.
It looked like a 12-year-old game at a rec gym on a Saturday morning somewhere in some team that was mashed up together. What was? They come out on that 10-0 run. What was the key to get it going?
The key was just turning defense into offense at Vanderbilt. Against Ole Miss, I think it was different. I think they just were much crisper executing. But Vanderbilt just came out and
gave them the ball,
laid down. They turned it over 4 of the first 5 times they had the ball in the second half, and Tennessee turned all those into buckets. Ole Miss, I was talking with Rick. He said that's the first time for 40 minutes I thought that we looked like we were organized on offense. Guys knew what they were doing. Guys, we're getting to the spots on the floor. The spacing was what we want, and but also, at the same time, talking with him about the last 2 games, he's up front about he's glad they're looking better on offense, but he's happier with the defense right now because I think he knows that the offense is going to come and go. The defense is how this particular team is going to win games. It gets good teams.
What are they doing? What are they doing well defensively? Because Georgia, that was not good defensively.
I think they're communicating
better.
Really well. That's certainly one of Rick's talking points that he likes. And the young kids are understanding more what they're supposed to do. I think Vescovi's, he's going to have some problems with length and quickness all year long. But he's just understanding the concepts better, understanding where to be. And even though Plaschik hasn't given them a lot, it has really helped between him and Camwa to just give Fulkerson a break. He played 37 minutes at Georgia. That's not you can't have that. He's 26, 27 minutes. I think he's a lot more effective. He was great against Ole Miss, best he's ever looked.
And so now the schedule coming out of Kansas, you got to take care of that Texas A&M game.
Have to.
That's the must win, and then it gets hard, right?
No, it gets real hard after that.
You get back-to-back road games, but winning at State and winning at Bama are doable. Although Tennessee at Bama over the years has never been a.
Yeah, it's been crazy down there. That's the worst game I've seen Tennessee play with a good Tennessee team play 2 years ago at Bama when they got beat. It was 20+.
But those are 2. Look, I'm not saying you're going to sweep on the road, but those are 2 winnable games.
You should be able to split.
But Mississippi State also beat Georgia by 40. On Saturday.
Well, and that brings me to this. That brings me to this question, taking it just beyond the Tennessee scope. What's the story with college basketball? What's to do with college basketball?
The SEC, I mean, Rick talked about it. We're taping this on Thursday. Rick talked about it Thursday afternoon during his media session. It's right on your point. He said he doesn't remember a year where the NCAA tournament's going to be this wide open, where so many teams have a legit shot.
I mean, but I don't think they have a legit shot because there's a bunch of really good teams.
No,
I think they're just a bunch of average I mean, Memphis loses by 40 to Tulsa. Georgia blows out Tennessee, goes to Mississippi State, loses by 40. You see. I mean, NC State did everything under the sun to give a game away to Virginia. I mean, they walked the ball down, handed it to them, and said, "Please beat us." And Virginia, at home, couldn't make 2 plays in the final 2 minutes to win that game.
Duke gets beat by Clemson.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's
Baylor
crazy
was looking terrible against Oklahoma State. I mean, they came back to win that game, but I mean, there's clearly a lack of star power. Weidman not being, or what's his name, not
Wiseman.
being Wiseman. Out at Memphis. Anthony Edwards playing on just an average
the kid
Georgia
at North Carolina, Anthony.
He's not.
He got hurt. I mean, he'd be one of the best players in the country.
It's just this is a rough season for college hoops. I think just in general, there's not a star. There's no Zion. There's no star team. The tournament may be fascinating because of that, or it could just be some really bad basketball
and the SEC,
for 4 weeks.
The SEC is as bad as I can remember in the last few years. I mean, it's bad.
Simple, stupid question. Has moving the 3-point line back affected it that much? Has that got anything on it?
I don't think so. I mean, I'll have to go back and check again, but I checked probably towards the end of the non-conference, and the leader, and I was just looking at the SEC, but the top of the league was pretty much right where it was last year, 37, 38%. For the top teams. I think what you see, the teams that are not great shooting teams, which like this one,
like Vanderbilt,
they're in the 20s. At 15, 16 games in, 10 games in, there were 4 SEC teams that were below 30%. Last year there were none. So I think if you're a good shooting team, I don't think it bothers you that much. If you're a bad shooting team, I think it knocks your percentage down.
And I think there's more bad shooting teams than there are good shooting teams in college basketball this year, from what we've seen, because it's been up and down.
And just like I said, and I follow. I mean, I watch a lot of SEC basketball. I mean, if Tennessee's not playing, I'll check out. I'm flipping back and forth between whatever's on, and this league is just. Whew.
Yeah, it's tough.
I mean, like Jesse, the best player in the league is on a very average team. Anthony Edwards. Kentucky's not what they're accustomed to. Florida's the biggest mystery of all. I think Mike White's starting to make a case that he may not be a very good coach.
I mean, there's another team.
They're good one game.
Beat the heck out of Auburn and then played completely terrible the week before. I mean, yeah, it's bizarre.
Yeah, the inconsistencies is something we've not seen. I mean, just the fact that even what is perceived to be the good teams out there have not been able to sustain quality play night in and night out.
LSU's undefeated, and they got blown out at home by ETSU in December.
Yeah, and they're undefeated because they've won 5 games by 2 points or more.
Less than 4 points or less.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. They've just won a bunch of close games, some of them that they've certainly tried to give away. So we'll see what Tennessee can do on the road against Kansas this weekend, and then obviously a big week for Tennessee next week, starting with Texas A&M.
And just squeeze in, if you're in town, Hoops fan, Jaden Springer on Saturday.
That's
chance to see him.
Chance to see him.
Catholic High School, 2 p.m.
2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Rob will be there
for Jaden Springer to see him play Catholic. Should be a lot of fun for anybody who wants to check out the future of Tennessee basketball coming up on Saturday. That's going to do it for this edition of the Volquest.com podcast. For Austin Price, Rob Lewis, and Jesse Simonton, I'm Brent Hubbs. Thanks for joining us, everybody.